Rolando Bohol will try to realize the dream of the late Gabriel Flash Elorde, that of giving the Elordes another world champion after Gabriel himself. Will he be able to do it? I think he will be able to pull an upset tonight.
Well, you are not really talking out of your hat when you mentioned that this is a dream of Gabriel Flash Elorde, because Rolando Bohol was a protege personally trained by the Flash himself before the Flash went to that great boxing arena in the sky 2 years ago. And Rolando Bohol, before the Flash died, was pegged by the great Elorde as a future world beater. Well, tonight he has come to the crossroads of a brilliant ring career. Tonight it's either the deepest portion of the valley or the peak of the mountain, if we want to be poetic about it. And incidentally, would you like to talk to that good-looking guy beside you, Mr. Piñol?
Yes.
All the girls have been going gaga about him since he made his entry.
We have here with us Mr. Jun Sorial, one of the persons behind this title bid of Rolando Bohol. And Jun will be giving us some highlights of Rolando Bohol's career.
Well, I think this will be one of the hardest fights of Bohol. Although I still believe that Bohol has a pretty good chance, because the Korean has weight problem. For the last 3 days he's been trying to make this weight.
But he made it.
That will be one of the factors that I think Bohol's chance to win the title.
Just to set the record straight, he made the 112-pound limit of the Games and Amusements Board weigh-in this morning, eh?
Yes.
Okay, so the fight will go on.
Is it true, Jun, that Chang-Ho Choi will be moving up the junior bantamweight division, win or lose tonight?
That is what his promoter, Mr. Ho Yun-chun, told us tonight. That win or lose, he may have his boy move to junior bantamweight to fight Galaxy of Thailand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jun Sorial, one of the persons behind Rolando Bohol's title bid. And here's Joe Contado once again.
Well, actually, you were talking about Jun Sorial's contribution to putting together this fight. The guy who really moved heaven and earth to get this fight, or to turn this fight into a reality, is the Grand Patriarch of Philippine boxing himself, the old man of Jun Sorial, and that's Papa Lopez Sorial. Because Papa Lopez Sorial himself has had great faith in the ability of Rolando Bohol to wrest the world flyweight title from the Korean. Now, to refresh your memory, on September 5 last year, Chang-Ho Choi applied some very controversial tactics in stripping Cody Boy Peñalosa of the IBF World Flyweight crown. Now, he did that via an 11th round knockout. Now, this Korean is not exactly popular with Filipino fight fans because of the manner in which he took the crown away from Peñalosa.
Yes.
Well, he has a chance to redeem himself tonight.
In the 8th round of that fight against Peñalosa, Chang-Ho Choi hit Dodi Boy with what appeared to be a headbutt that led to the closure of Dodi Boy's left eye and led to an 11th round knockout loss by Peñalosa. Tonight, Chang-Ho Choi is going to erase that memory. He's going to try to erase that memory, that rather the belief that he won his title by a fluke.
You know, the referee in that fight came into a lot of flack because people sort of blame him for the way he officiated the fight. Now, I personally am not inclined to heap all the blame on the referee. But anyway, just to set your mind at ease, it's not going to be the same referee tonight. It's going to be a Hawaiian-based official who will act as the third man in the ring. His name is Abe Pacheco. Well, I'm sure you've run into Abe Pacheco in some of the international fights you've been seeing on television, especially those via satellite. Okay, into the ring comes Chang-Ho Choi. And as we expected, he gets a big round of boos.
Yes. Instead of an applause, he gets the boos.
But this guy is unfazed. He doesn't give a damn about the people. All he cares about is winning a fight. And that's the kind of stuff that makes for a champion gladiator, Mr. Piñol.
Yes.
Whether you like him or not. Chang-Ho Choi displayed a lot of arrogance in the press or media conference held at the Rolando Sports Complex only last Monday. He said he would rather die than lose to Rolando Bohol. Well, let's hope we're not going to have a funeral
I think
when the fight is over.
Chang-Ho Choi is going to use his height and reach advantage to the hilt tonight, Mr. Joko. Rolando Bohol will be digging into that midsection of the Korean.
Well, the Korean is 3 inches taller than Rolando Bohol, an advantage which could be turned into a disadvantage by Rolando Bohol depending on how he fights this fight. And I know for a fact that his brain trust, Debut Elorde, and his own trainer, Ding Cabanela, himself a former world contender, have worked out a very, very smart fight plan to cope with the advantage of the Korean in height as well as his vaunted right straight.
Yes, if you would remember, Mr. Cantada, a few months ago we pointed out that Rolando Bohol is vulnerable to that right straight, which is Chang-Ho Choi's most potent weapon. The handlers of Rolando Bohol tried to check that, and they were able to correct that. And they have instructed Rolando Bohol to bob and weave, and weave below the right straight of Chang-Ho Choi and dig into the midsection. That's the strategy tonight.
Well, the popular feeling among those who were at ringside to watch the press public preview held at the Loaded Sports Complex last Monday is that if the fight is going to go the distance, then Bohol should win it by decision. But the Korean will always have the capability to pull off a knockout at any time during the fight because of that strong right hand.
Yes. My prediction, Mr. Cantada, at this point is that Bohol will win this fight by decision. If there's any knockout, it will be Chang-Ho Choi. But his chances of winning this fight by knockout are very slim.
Very slim because he doesn't have a very impressive knockout record. To take a look at Rolando Bohol's record, we find that he has only scored 3 abbreviated bouts in his career, which covers all of 24 fights. On the other hand, Chang-Ho Choi has already scored 11 knockouts in 14 victories.
Yes.
I will be filling you in on more background information regarding these two fighters as we go along. Okay, we'll give you the exact record of Chang-Ho Choi right now. It's 14-2, which means he has won 14 times, lost twice by decision. He has scored 11 knockouts in those 14 victories. He wrestled the IBF title from Peñalosa September 5 last year. I've said that already many times. He is fighting outside of Korea only for the second time. His first time to fight outside of Korea was against Dodiboy Peñalosa. And what a debut outside of Korea that was, winning no less than a world championship right in his first crack.
You know, if we're talking of experience, Rolando Bohol is more experienced than Chang-Ho Choi. Because before he fought Peñalosa, Chang-Ho Choi only fought twice as a 10-round fighter. Rolando Bohol, on the other hand, has fought a lot of very, very difficult fights, although these were against not so very popular fighters.
Ironically, Mr. Piñol, although Bohol has had more experience than Chang-Ho Choi, Choi is his senior by 2 years, because Rolando Bohol turned 21 only on Christmas Day last year. That's right, he was born on December 25 of 1966.
Yes.
While Chang-Ho Choi was born February 10, 1964, which means that Choi is actually 2 years older than Rolando Bohol. And Ms. Herrera, I would appreciate it very much if you would warn me beforehand before turning the cameras on me. That way I can remove my spectacles. It makes me look like Mr. Scrooge all the time. Okay. To give you more highlights of Rolando Bohol's career, we'd like to mention that among his most prominent victims are Alan Makitoki, Manasseh Pase, and Prestino Simbahon. His last fight was a unanimous decision victory over Rodney Coney of August 30 last year. We covered that at the Loaded Sports Complex.
Yes, we did.
And another very interesting facet of Rolando Bohol is that he is a rarity among Filipino fighters in the sense that he is one of the very few we know who was able to finish high school and is now currently taking pre-college courses.
Yes, and he's planning to become a priest afterwards, or an engineer, Joe.
A priest?
Yes.
I also dreamed of becoming a priest at one time, and no, you will not believe that, Mr. Piñol.
I do believe you. I have faith in you, my friend.
But anyway, Rolando Bohol has some great plans ahead of him. So whether or not he succeeds in taking the crown away from Chang-Ho Choi tonight, one thing is certain, this boy will certainly not wind up in Paluca Alley.
Yes, our cameras lost just a while ago. The judge from Hawaii, Louis Reyes, who is one of the 3 judges in this championship fight. The other is Chung-On of Korea. And the third referee, rather the third judge, is Alex Villacampo of the Philippines. If you would notice, there are
right now, Mr. Piñol, we have focused on the championship belt to be awarded the winner of this fight. And that's the hand of Tommy Romulo, who's acting as our ring announcer tonight. In case you missed the supporting bout, which saw a unanimous decision victory by Edel Geronimo over the Korean Cop Soup song. We'd like to mention once again that Tommy Romulo is acting as our ring announcer for tonight. Tommy Romulo, for the benefit of those old-timers in the ringside circles, will remember him as the lightweight champion of the Philippines towards the late 50s.
Yes.
He also tangled with Flash Elorde 3 times.
Losing twice and fighting to a draw once.
Which is quite a record when you think that you were up against the great Flash Elorde himself.
I think we should also explain, Mr. Cantaro, why the belt that is being how would you call it, that is being put at stake tonight, has been named the Pancho Villa belt.
That's right. Okay.
Yes. Pancho Villa, of course, everybody knows him, is the first Filipino world champion. Aside from that, he is a flyweight, or rather, he was a flyweight. And he was the second man in boxing history to win the world flyweight title with a 7-round knockout over Jimmy World in New York in 1923.
You know, if you're scoffing at the record of Pancho Villa, let me tell you something. Pancho Villa is regarded by Ring Magazine as the second greatest flyweight champion in history, second only to Jimmy Wilde, the same guy he dethroned.
Yes, that's the reason why he was named to the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1961.
And this Pancho Villa belt has been put up by the Flash Elorde Sports Foundation to be given to the winner of the fight. And it will stay with the IBF champion for as long as he is reigning as champion. It will eventually be transferred to whoever will take the crown away from him. So it's actually a perpetual belt that will move from hand to hand as the years go by. So let's hope that that metal there is made of honest-to-goodness gold so it doesn't rust with the years.
To be awarded to the winner of this contest is donated by Mayor Mel Lopez. This Pancho Villa Golden Belt is donated by our beloved President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Cory Aquino.
I think you call this
To be awarded to the winner of this championship fight. I would like to ask each and every one of you to rise for the Korean national anthem, followed by the Philippine national anthem. And the Philippine national anthem will be sung by a little girl by the name of Marguerite Mara Mara. First, the Korean national anthem. Margaret, Mara, please come over.
Yeah.
Bayang maging langit bukaw, may dilagang dula at awit sa bulan minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng luwan, ating pagsinta, buhay langit na piling mo. Ang ligaya na pagmamahalin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you.
Well, a very stirring rendition of the Philippine national anthem by a young girl. Her name is Margarita Mara. Well, more announcements now. This time it's going to be the introduction of the principals in this World Championship fight from Tommy Romulo. This bout, incidentally, is big stage here at the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex. Here's Tommy.
And gentlemen, the Galore Enterprises Incorporated, in coordination with the Gabriel Flash Elordi Foundation, proudly presents Manila Main Event 88. This fight is for the International Boxing Federation Flyweight Championship of the World. In the blue, weighing 111.5 pounds, the foremost challengers, the Philippines' brightest hope for the new world title and the pride of Bacolod City, our very own Rolando Bohol.
That's home court
His
advantage for you.
opponent, the man who wrested the crown from Dodi Boy Peñalosa, and the red corner, weighing 111.5 pounds, the reigning flyweight champion of the world, the Tiger from Seoul, Korea, Chang-Ho Choi. This is a 15-round contest sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. The referee for this contest, Mr. A. Pacheco from Hawaii, and judges Chong Wen from Korea, Mr. Alex Villacampa from the Philippines, and Luis Reyes from Hawaii. A 15-round contest.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the varied reactions of the crowd to the introductions of the two principals in this fight is not simply the result of the home court advantage enjoyed by Rolando Bohol. It's simply that Filipino fight fans remember only too well the infamous day of September 5, 1987, when Chang-Ho Choi took the crown away from Dodi Boy Peñalosa in a very dubious fashion.
And yes, the Filipino fight fans want Rolando Bohol to regain the title lost by Peñalosa. We will be seeing whether Rolando Bohol can do that tonight in a few moments.
Well, One thing is certain, the winner of this fight will deserve a toast with Andy Player Special Whiskey, recent winner of the International Award for Beverages in Düsseldorf, Germany. Its fourth major prestigious award in less than 3 years. Andy Player Special, truly the winner's whiskey.
I'll drink a bottle of that, Mr. Contara, if the whole wins tonight.
We'll finish a whole carton, as a matter of fact. All right. Abe Pacheco is the third man in the ring. I already mentioned that he is based in Hawaii and is figured in a lot of international bouts sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. As introduced by Tommy Romulo, the judges are Luis Reyes. He is also based in LA, and he is also the neutral referee, or rather the neutral judge. Alex Villacampa will be representing the Philippines in the panel of judges, and a gentleman named Chung-Un will be representing Korea in accordance with IBF rules, and that's Rolando Bohol going to the body. This is going to be the familiar pattern of the fight. Rolando Bohol will be going to the body because he figures that the Korean is weak in the breadbasket.
Yes, and if you would notice, Joe, Rolando Bohol has his left hand up close to his left face.
He is only too aware of the lethal weapon lying at that right hand of Chang-Ho Choi. Here comes Rolando Bohol scoring with that left hand. Bohol is keeping the fight very close. He's adhering to a very carefully contrived fight plan, and that is to stick very close to the Korean to neutralize the devastating right hand of Chang-Ho Choi. A big row in the background. Well, it might be premature. Here comes another combination by Rolando Bohol.
Left hand by Rolando Bohol.
Bohol in the immaculate pair of pants. While both are wearing white-colored pants, but the Korean is trimmed with green.
But Bohol should always remember that right straight by Chang-Ho Choi. Another good combination. Bohol should throw more to the midsection, Joe.
You know, Rolando Bohol has never gone 15 rounds in his entire career, Mr. Piñol, but neither has Chang-Ho Choi, because the fight with Peñalosa lasted only 11 rounds. So and 15 rounds is unfamiliar territory to both protagonists.
And the more physically conditioned fighter tonight.
Bohol scoring heavily in round one. Chang-Ho Choi on the retreat. But remember, Manny Piñol, in that fight against Dodi Boy Peñalosa, the Korean also had a sluggish start, but he picked up very quickly in the succeeding rounds.
But right now, Rolando Bohol is showing that he can take the Korean's punch. He got tagged there with the left, or rather with the right straight, Joe.
The dreaded right hand of Chang-Ho Choi has been felt by Rolando Bohol, and Bohol just shook it off. But he's still keeping that left hand in defense, setting up virtually a Maginot line to protect himself from the right hand of the Korean. In the meantime, Bohol is sticking to his fight plan.
He is waiting for the Korean to throw that right before he comes in.
Beautiful left counter by Rolando Bohol, and that shook the head of the Korean. A brilliant round one for the Filipino, and we'll be right back.
Carlsberg, 140 enjoyed in.
And to witness this good-looking young man from Bacolod City make his bid from ring or for ring glory. It was unquestionably the big round of Rolando Bohol. We're using, incidentally, the 10 points mass system of scoring, whereby the winner of each round is awarded 10 points mandatory, while the loser gets proportionately less. In that kind of a round, that would readily be seen as 10 points for Rolando Bohol and 9 points for the Korean. If there had been a knockdown, it would have been a 2-point disparity. 2 knockdowns would have meant a 3-point disparity, but you never give the loser of a round less than 7 points.
Now Chang-Ho Choi trots towards the center of the ring.
This is round 2. We're scheduled for 15. Well, Rolando Bohol is not famous for his knockout prowess. He has only scored 3 knockouts in 24 bouts, but then he just might add Chang-Ho Choi to his list as his 4th victim.
Look at it right, yes.
You know, Chang-Ho Choi's devastating record of 11 knockouts in 14 wins does not seem to face Rolando Bohol one bit.
But he is not that durable, Joe. He has been knocked down in his career, too. And Rolando Bohol knows that. Here comes in.
And Bohol keeps the pressure on. He goes head hunting and smartly switching to the body. Upstairs and downstairs. From all directions, the Korean is getting it. He is in a war. You know, he downgraded Rolando Bohol in that press preview last Monday, referring to him as only half the fighter that Dodi Boy Peñalosa is. Well, I think he's going to have to change his mind very soon.
Rolando Bohol still sticking to that strategy. Look at that. He avoided the right straight by bobbing and waving. He ducked low. A good straight there by the Korean.
You know, so far the Korean has acted like a one-armed bandit, utilizing only that right hand of his, which has now become telegraphed because Rolando Bohol is prepared long and hard for that.
Yes. A left-hander usually has tackled the right side, Joe. See, the Korean can play
A
there.
tremendous left uppercut by Rolando Bohol, and the Korean was stopped dead in his tracks. Bohol pursuing his quarry. Chang-Ho Choi is in trouble. But he's coming back strongly. That right hand stopped Bohol dead in his tracks.
Bohol tackled the Korean with a good left there. And has successfully avoided the right straight.
You know, this is what Rolando to give the fighter.
Yes, good.
The Korean
Shot to
fighter
midsection.
distance. Now a shot to the midsection by Bohol. But he ought to fight a lot more close.
Yes. He has to be very careful. That's right.
Well, Rolando Bohol is a southpaw by now, as you probably noticed. But then remember that Dodi Boy Peñalosa himself was a southpaw, and so southpaws are not unfamiliar to this Korean.
Rolando Bohol is getting careless with that jab, Joe.
That's right.
Chang-Ho Choi is scoring with that jab.
And Bohol is giving the Korean some distance, but he comes in with a grazing overhand right.
Oh, good
Here
straight.
comes Bohol with another salvo.
And I see traces of blood from the nose of Chang-Ho Choi.
Another brilliant round for Rolando Bohol.
Rolando Bohol has been a very, very obedient boxer. He has followed what his handlers have told him before he went into the ring with Chang-Ho Choi. That is to avoid that right straight.
Well, I'll tell you something, Manny. Rolando Bohol must have gotten sick and tired of watching that tape of the fight between Chang-Ho Choi and Dodi Boy Peñalosa. He must have watched it 1,000 times to study all the weaknesses of the Korean. And he, along with his brain trust, consisting of Bipot Ilorde, his manager, and Ding Capanella, his trainer, have worked out a very, very carefully contrived fight plan. And so far, Bohol has stuck to that plan, and it has worked wonders for him as we move into round 3. We're scheduled for 15.
There's a swelling below the left eye of Chang-Ho Choi as of the moment, Joe. Courtesy of Rolando Bohol's left.
You know, Chang-Ho Choi, notwithstanding the fact that he already beat a southpaw by the name of Dodi Boy Peñalosa, still is not comfortable coping with this southpaw because this southpaw has 2 good legs in contrast to Dodi Boy Peñalosa.
That uppercut missed.
Bohol keeping that left hand very close to his face, still very wary, very cautious of that right hand in the ring. He comes back with a beautiful counter to the face.
Look at Rolando Bohol. He waits for that right straight before he delivers his combinations.
You know, Rolando Bohol is dead set on making this Korean rue the day he underrated his fighting ability.
Yes.
Actually, Chang-Ho Choi did not think very much of the boxing abilities of Rolando Bohol. That's why he didn't train half as hard as he did for the Peñalosa fight. But now he seems to be paying the price for it. But we might be talking prematurely, and we might be celebrating a little too soon. This is only round 3, and we're scheduled for 15. Another beautiful left by Bohol.
Brilliant performance by Bohol in his first 3 rounds.
You know, I've seen a lot of Rolando Bohol's previous fights, but I've never seen him in this kind of a superb condition.
Yes. He has prepared long and hard for this, Joe.
He must have trained at least 250 rounds of sparring for this fight. There's that left hand again. And Bohol is exuding a lot more confidence now than he did in round 1. He has felt the sting of that right hand of the Korean, and he figures he can take it. The Korean is hardly throwing leather at this point, only some tentative left jabs.
He is cocking his right, Joe. He's waiting for a moment.
Yes,
the
that right is constantly cocked, yes. You cannot dismiss that right hand of his yet. You see, he has what is known in boxing as the puncher's chance, because no matter how far he may be behind point, he can quickly turn the complexion of fight around with just one punch.
Rolando Bohol should throw upper punches, uppercuts. He's missing with his straight right. That's good. It's a good punch.
That's a good combination. Leading off downstairs and then going for the head. Okay, there's a good right hand by the Korean, which should tell Rolando Bohol not to give him the distance for it.
Yes.
The Korean, in his typical awkward fashion, is trying to fend off Rolando Bohol, who, by the mere fact that he is 3 inches shorter, has to keep the fight very close. There's another explosive combination by the Bacolod boy. It's getting to look better and better for the Filipino as we see the end of round 3 and prepare for round 4.
And keep this style of fighting, Joe. He will be going home to Sukat Paranaque tonight wearing the champion's belt.
He will be going home to the Ilorde Sports Complex in a blaze of glory.
And he will not be failing his mentor, Gabriel Flas Ilorde, and the Flas's widow, Laura, who has carried on the Flas's dream of producing another world champion.
You know, the Korean is going home with a $40,000 purse for this fight. And that's quite a lot for a promoter to put up. But Mrs. Laura Ilorde said, never mind the money. We want the title.
Yes. It means a lot to Laura and to the Ilorde.
There's the bell for round 4. Rolando Bohol rushing out of his stool to meet the Korean. The Korean still looks befuddled at this point. He can't solve the fighting style of Rolando Bohol. It's not only the fact that Bohol is a southpaw, it's also the fact that Bohol keeps that left hand very close to his face.
And that was their solution to that right straight by Chang-Ho Choi. Keep the left hand close to the left cheek.
And look at Bohol. He is following every instruction given him by Ding Capanela and Bebo Ilorde. A push by Rolando Bohol, and he apologizes profusely to the fight fans. You know, Rolando Bohol is known to be a very clean fighter, but if the Korean should decide to dirty tactics, Rolando Bohol will give it back to him in kind.
An uppercut should have been the punch there. That's the punch.
The Korean, in the meantime, is looking very frisky, but is hardly throwing leather. Only tentative lefts. Another good left straight by Rolando Bohol. The Filipino, brimming with confidence, launches another attack. Ducks a left by the Korean, who has hardly scored with a significant punch so far in this fight. And now Rolando Bohol is dealing with Chang-Ho Choi the way Rocky Marciano used to deal with his much taller opponents, going into a deep crouch.
Bohol's cornerman should now tell him to stop throwing straights. He should start throwing uppercuts.
Did you notice the Korean was squinting after absorbing that right hand from Bohol?
Yes. He now is complaining of headbutting. Oh, good right by Rolando Bohol.
He follows it up with another right, and the Korean backtracks.
Right, oh! Bohol is
stunned.
He got careless there.
But like an enraged tiger, he comes back strongly with a combination. Boy, you've got to hand it to this guy from Bacolod. Body Boy Peñalosa buckled up under the strength of that right hand, but Bohol comes back. But he's not yet out of the woods. The Korean is still swinging that right hand to his face. Bohol is starting to see stars.
Bohol is hurt. He should be very careful with right there.
But tremendous aplomb being shown here by Bohol. Notwithstanding those devastating rights thrown in his direction by the Korean, he has managed to come back strongly.
Good.
And there he goes, connecting with the left Bohol. The only question is, can Bohol weather the storm for all of 15 rounds? Good shot inside to the face by Bohol. But he's still shaking the cobwebs out of his head as a result of that staggering right he took from the Korean about 30 seconds back.
Yes.
And he runs smack into it again as he connects with his own right.
Another good right by the Korean. Oh!
The Korean has found his range again.
Bohol should not give the Korean enough room to throw it straight. He should crowd the Korean. That's the way to fight. There's a big
And
crowd.
suddenly blood is oozing out of the scalp of Bohol. I don't know why it escaped the attention of the referee. Any moment now, He probably would stop the fight to summon the gut physician to take a look at that scalp wound. Well, it's a bloody cut, but it's not in a very critical zone. It's only a scalp wound, so nothing really to be worried about. It's a bloody cut, but not necessarily a very dangerous cut.
I believe it was caused by headbutt, Joe. A punch that have caused that.
A bloody round, and we shall return with round 8. Well, Mr. Pignol, in the absence of any indication to the contrary by the referee, that the cut will have to be presumed as the result of a legitimate blow.
Yes,
but then, I think it was inflicted by a headbutt.
A punch could not have caused that.
Well, a punch could not possibly cause a scalp wound because the part where the cut was inflicted is probably the hardest part of the human body other than the knees.
Yes, and there's the hair to protect you from the punch.
Well, in any case, Debut Elorde has already applied medication on the cut, and it's not really a dangerous cut because it's on the scalp. If it were on the eyelids or the eyebrow, it would be a dangerous wound, but it's not. And so worried about. The big worry for Bohol is still that right hand of the Korean.
Yes, and now Chang-Ho Choi has gained some.
That's right. He came out of his corner to answer the bell for round 8 with an arrogant mien.
There's also a swelling on the right eye of Chang-Ho Choi.
And Bohol is again giving the Korean a lot of distance. And there's that right hand again.
Bohol should get close. That's the way to fight the Korean.
You know, you got to hand it to this Korean. He is as tough as they come.
Yes. Good straight by Rolando Bohol.
That's his lethal weapon, the left straight. But it hasn't caused that many knockouts, so don't look for a swift ending here for the Filipino. If this fight goes the distance, it's very likely Bohol will win the championship. But don't forget, the Korean has that dreaded right hand, which can explode anytime like a grenade. Isolated shots on the dark by Bohol. A left hand thrown without benefit of a lead. The familiar fighting stance of a southpaw. Chang-Ho Choi playing it very smart, now missing with the right. The Korean's mouth is wide agape.
But he... Oh!
Breaking left by Bohol. Sends the Korean on the retreat. Bohol follows it up with a left-right combination.
Chang-Ho Choi is hurt.
A series of 5 big Sunday punches uncorked by Rolando Bohol. And the Korean is still in a vertical position.
The midsection.
You know, one thing about Rolando is he's not able to follow up his advantage at all. See, he's allowing the Korean enough time to recover his wits. And then he'll have to cope with that right hand again. Good left. And in the background, you know what home court advantage means.
Yes. Rolando Bohol now being egged on by the crowd. Oh!
Well, if all that cheering in the background is not enough to get the adrenaline of Bohol to a peak level, then nothing can.
Bohol now in trouble, wisely moving out of Chang-Ho Choi's range. There's a big swelling now over the right eye of Rolando Bohol, and that's very dangerous, Joe.
Yeah, that's more dangerous than the scalp wound he sustained much earlier.
Yes.
That's the end of round 8. You know, Manny Pignol, in the background, you can hear the delirious chant of the 8,000 Filipino fight fans gathered here at the Rizal Coliseum. They're yelling, Bohol, Bohol, Bohol. Well,
yes,
it might be premature to celebrate because the staggering right hand of the Korean has time and again put Rolando Bohol on the verge of a knockdown. You possibly cannot see it from your television sets. Neither can the people there in the reserve section or in the bleacher sections. But at close range, you can see that those rights are taking their toll on Bohol.
Right.
This is round 9 now in progress. We're scheduled for 15. Neither fighter has gone 15 rounds in their careers. The farthest Choi has gone was 11 rounds, and that was against Dodi Boy Peñalosa.
Chang-Ho Choi's job has been very busy, and that weapon inflicted that injury over Rolando Bohol's right eye.
You know, the inability of Bohol to keep the pressure on the Korean has prevented him from scoring a knockdown.
Yes.
But right now, he's scoring heavily again with isolated shots, starting off with the right hand. That right hand is getting it with impunity. Now, he collects the bread basket. And the Korean's face is contorted in pain. But that's a deceptive look, because one moment he doubles up in pain, and the next moment he's unleashing a devastating right. And Bohol had better watch out for that.
Yes, that right arm, that right punch, right straight by Chang-Ho Choi is still the deadliest weapon.
Well, that right hand of Chang-Ho Choi reminds you of the hammer of Thor of Ingemar Johansson.
Yes.
In the heavyweight division many decades back.
Right now, I think Chang-Ho Choi is tiring, Joe.
Well, who wouldn't? He's taken a lot of licks to the body as well as to the face.
Yes. His efforts to reduce his weight are now taking their toll.
Well, remember, he came to Philippine shores 6 pounds overweight.
Yes.
And that was only less than a week ago. And so he had to shed off 6 pounds in a hurry. And he looks dehydrated at this point. More shots to the side by Bohol. He follows it up with the left to the face, sending the Korean practically eluding. Another head jerking left to the nose by Rolando. But the Korean is still in a vertical position. He's still as frisky as ever.
Yes. Oh, good right by Rolando Bohol.
Oh, they're getting into some dangerous sequences of headbutting here. The Korean is beginning to score again with left and right combinations.
And Bohol is allowing him to score. Good.
Bohol goes under.
Yes.
Digs a left to the bread basket of the Korean, but the Korean comes back with a right of his own.
Yes. And Rolando Bohol is hurt. Rolando Bohol is hurt.
Bohol is making a big mistake, slugging it out toe-to-toe with the Korean.
Yes.
This is the kind of fight that the Korean wants. He wants this kind of distance, and he wants Rolando trading leather for leather.
Bohol should get out of the ropes. Hang on to the Korean for a while.
Bohol cannot possibly match the strength of the Korean, especially the right hand. And so he better get away, abandon that fact of trying to trade blow for blow. Round 10 coming up very shortly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 9 rounds down, 6 more rounds to go. We're on the verge of the 10th round. You know, if you're enjoying this fight, well, you'll enjoy it better with a glass of Andy Player Special Whiskey on the Rocks. Andy Player Special, the only way to go if you're a whiskey connoisseur. Well, I have Rolando Bohol ahead by a nautical mile in my scorecard, Mr. Piñol, and this, I would like to stress, is an unofficial scorecard. But then again, you can probably throw away the scorecards once that Korean gets that right hand going.
Yes. Bohol has got to be very careful.
The Korean is on his bicycle and he gets it to the bread basket. So far, it's been a shutout for the Filipinos as far as our unofficial scorecard is concerned. But then again, remember, the Korean has what is known as the puncher's chance, that of turning the fight completely around with a devastating right hand. But let's not forget, Rolando Bohol has never been knocked out or knocked down in his fight.
Good punch to the midsection. There's a cut now over the right eye of the Korean, Joe. And I think that's going to affect him.
In addition to having been clobbered right in the belly button with a devastating left.
Yes. Blood is flowing now from the cut over the right eye of the Korean.
And Bohol has given Bohol a target to aim for.
Yes. Bohol is going for that now.
Another smart left counter by Bohol. Oh, beautiful right.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will pardon us if from time to time we get a little carried away. We are, of course, neutral sportscasters, but you cannot take away the fact that Manny Piñol and I are also Filipinos.
And we are rather rabid boxing fans. And we want Rolando Bohol to win tonight.
But looking at it from a very objective viewpoint, I have Rolando Bohol ahead on my unofficial scorecard by a shutout.
Yes, even an amateur, a newcomer in boxing would know that.
Well, I have him ahead by 4 rounds to nothing, using the 10 points must system of scoring. That would give Rolando Bohol 40 points against 36
Yes.
for Chang-Ho Choi.
4
And
points
that's the bell for
advantage.
round 5.
But there's a swelling right now below the right eye of Rolando Bohol. And I think that was inflicted by the continuous jabbing of Chang-Ho Choi.
You know, earlier I overheard some words of wisdom coming from Jun Sarial addressed to Rolando Bohol. Walang kumpiyansa, Rolando.
Yes,
Yes.
a good left. But for a moment, Rolando Bohol left himself open there for that right straight.
And ladies and gentlemen, in case you've just joined us, you're watching the IBF World Championship fight between Chang-Ho Choi, the defending champion from Korea, and Rolando Bohol, the #1 IBF contender from Bacolod City.
Blood is again flowing from the cut over the right eye of Chang-Ho Choi, the champion.
Our third man in the ring is Hawaii-based Abe Pacheco.
Good shot to the body.
But right uppercut to the body by Rolando Bohol has found its target time and again. Chang-Ho Choi seems to be virtually defenseless against that right uppercut.
Yes. Rolando Bohol has mastered that right straight.
And you know why Chang-Ho Choi cannot unload that right hand? That's because he keeps moving to the right flank of Chang-Ho Choi and away from the line of fire. Oh, he
Rolando
scored
Bohol
with
got
that right
caught
hand.
there with that right. He should be careful with that now. Oh,
The Korean is bleeding from the left eyebrow, and that eyebrow just got it again from the left hand of Rolando.
now Chang-Ho Choi is starting to score with his right.
Rolando ducking that right hand.
Oh, another good
A
right
staggering
straight.
right by Chang-Ho Choi. I think that stunned Bohol.
Yes. A series of good right straights by Chang-Ho Choi.
Bohol is trying to shake the cobwebs off his head. That right hand came unexpectedly like a bolt of lightning. But here comes a right hand from Bohol himself. Well, Bohol's advantage is that his punches come from inside.
Yes. Oh. Good combination by Rolando Bohol.
A fierce exchange in the middle of the ring.
But right now, the Korean is starting to score.
But right hand of Choi is wreaking havoc on the fight plan of Bohol. And Bohol doesn't seem as confident as he was in the first 4 rounds.
Oh, Bohol is hurt. I think Bohol is hurt, Joe.
He ran smack into a left and right combination by the Korean, and the Korean knows it only too well. He's unloading that right hand time and again.
Bohol has got to be very careful with right.
And Bohol is now fighting in staccato fashion, coming up with solitary shots instead of the combinations he unloaded in the first 4 rounds.
That's the way to fight Chang-Ho Choi. Wait for that right.
Good left by Bohol to end round 5. Well, looking at Rolando Bohol from where we sit, he is telling us in no uncertain terms that he's all right. He's all right. Don't mind me.
Yes. Jun Sarial and myself were signaling him to bob and weave. Stick to that old strategy.
He paid off very handsomely in the first 4 rounds until the Korean started connecting with the right hand. But then if Rolando Bohol will simply keep his wits together, he can still neutralize that right hand. And there's the exhortation from Jun Sarial. Walang kumpiyansa, Rolando. And like a very obedient ward, he keeps his left hand very close to his face. Okay, now he ducks that right hand. He's not going to the body as much as he did in the first 3 rounds, though. And he's giving the Korean distance again with which to unload that right hand.
There's a swelling now over the right eye of Rolando Bohol. A slight swelling.
Well, but his face doesn't look half as bad as Chang-Ho Choi's does. Chang has a nick under his right eye, and has a bruise on his left eyelid. Well, it's been a familiar strategy here for Rolando Bohol, constantly leading with that left hand.
Yes. But he sometimes leaves himself open to the right.
Oh, this Bohol can take a punch. He can. Other fighters would have gone down after absorbing that right hand, but he came back strongly with a combination of his own. But No question about it. His knees were buckled by
Yes.
the Korean then.
Good uppercut by Rolando Bohol.
You know, there's always that sword of Damocles hanging over the head of Rolando Bohol because one accurate connection from the right hand of the Korean could send him to dreamland, the way it has sent 11 previous opponents of the Korean.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether you're leading by 100 points in the scorecards. If you get knocked out, you lose the fight.
Rolando should now go to the midsection, as he did earlier in this fight.
Okay, Rolando Bohol going into deep crouch again, bobbing and weaving,
Yes.
connecting from long distance, but he probably will do better to stick closer. A feint right by the Korean. Oh, the Korean has a
another
very
good right.
deceptive way of throwing that right hand. From time to time, he throws it as a powder puff punch, and then he suddenly puts it and so behind. But Bohol isn't hurting him.
He is hurt.
Oh! Lead from pitch by Rolando Bohol. Right and left to the face of the Korean. The Korean is under the cage. The Korean's knees are spaghetti at this point. If Bohol can sustain this, he just might score a knockdown. But why is he laying back? Why is he laying back?
Yes, he's waiting for a good timing, a good chance to throw that those combinations. Another good left.
Remember how Dirty Boy almost had the Korean on the verge of a knockdown in their own fight last September,
Yes.
but he was not able to follow it up. I hope Bohol doesn't make the same mistake. Okay, the Korean has recovered his wits due to the failure of Bohol to follow up the advantage when he had the Korean's legs wobbly in the middle of the round, and the Korean will now have 60 seconds to rest his limb. Rolando Bohol and Chang-Ho Choi. At stake here is the IBF version of the 112-pound crown, which was wrested by Chang-Ho Choi from the head of Dirty Boy Peñalosa on September 5 last year. Rolando Bohol, the young, good-looking lad from Bacolod City, has a very good chance of regaining that crown if he can just stay away from the knockout punch of Chang-Ho Choi. So far, he must be miles ahead in the official scorecard.
Yes. For a while there, I thought Rolando Bohol would stray away from his fight strategy. But thank heaven, he came back to his fight strategy to bob and weave and deliver punch to the midsection.
My unofficial scorecard shows Bohol ahead by 5 rounds to 1 for the Korean.
Yes. And that was
And
a
this
very
is round
strong
7. Yes. You know, the International Boxing Federation is probably the only boxing body in the world now with still a 15-round stipulation for a championship fight.
Yes, it's the only boxing body right now which still holds championship fights in 15 rounds.
It was the WBC who started the trend by reducing the rounds to just 12, and then the WBA followed
Another
suit.
good right by Chang-Ho Choi.
But Bohol will have to keep his eye out for that right hand of the Korean, which is constantly cocked. And now the Korean is utilizing his longer reach to keep Bohol at bay, but he comes in with the left of the breadbasket. Perhaps Bohol should fight a little bit closer, bob and weave a little bit more, go into a deeper crouch.
He should crowd this Korean.
He should not allow the Korean to get the distance necessary to uncork that right hand, and he comes in beautifully with left to the face. Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen,
All right, here is Tommy Romulo.
we have the judges' decision.
Well, we expect the non-neutral judges to hew party lines. Maybe the Philippines...
Judge.
Okay, let's hear it.
Chong Wen scored it 147 for Choi and 143 for Bohol.
Well, I expected that. That was the Korean judges' score.
Yes.
Judge Alex Villacampa scored it 142 for Choi and 145 for Bohol.
So it's now all up to the neutral judge. It's now up to the neutral
Final
judge.
judge Louis Reyes scored it 141 for Choi and 145 for Bohol.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippines has regained the IBF World Flyweight crown.
we have
Rolando Bohol is the new flyweight champion of the International Boxing Federation.